Hey folks, this is the Other Barak coming to you live and direct here from the Holy Land in Israel. Today we have a video on Jordan Peterson about this hoax that Jews control the world. Make sure that you stick around until the end for today's Hebrew word of the day.
I want to read something from your article,
Sure.
okay, that's directly relevant to that. It's from a section called "It Was Like a Dam Burst," and so this is right after October 7th. And these are comments by Robert Krell, who's the former director of postgraduate education in the Department of Psychiatry at the University of British Columbia. The impression that the violence unfolding around them is somehow invisible to the state responsible for their protection has overwhelmed not only relative newcomers to Canada like Rugheimer, man you discussed, but also Jews who have lived in Canada for decades. Then you refer to Robert Krell. And next section is, almost none of these verbal or physical assaults, okay, so we're talking about repeated demonstrations, for example, all across the country, long-term occupations of university campuses, most particularly at McGill and at the University of Toronto, with like sporadic outbursts at Concordia, which is its own kind of rat hole, and then in a variety of other places across Canada, right? Riots in Montreal as well, downtown demonstrations in Toronto. Almost none of these verbal or physical assaults are coming from white supremacists, very rare breed in Canada, or anti-Semites of the right-wing variety. Now, those people exist. I mean, when I joined forces with the Daily Wire, one of whose lead spokespeople, let's say, is Ben Shapiro, who's probably the most well-known Orthodox Jew, American Orthodox Jew in the world, the right-wing anti-Semites came after me in droves, and they had been doing that for years for a variety of reasons. So those people exist, and they're entirely detestable in 15 different dimensions, but they're not organized in the same manner as these left-wing anti-Semites, and they don't pose anywhere near the danger. And, well, this is what you describe in your article. They are being carried out by self-described progressives, Arabs, and often recent immigrants who are operating inside an ideological framework of settler colonialism, which casts Canada, the US, Australia, and most of all Israel as irredeemably illegitimate constructs of imperialism, capitalism, genocide, and racism. It's an ideology that has found a comfortable home in Trudeau's Canada. Okay, so let's zero in on this a little bit. So
Sure.
I wrote an article about Jewish support for the Democrats about 3 months ago for a UK publication. It was, I tried to publish it at the National Post and at the Telegraph, and they'll usually pretty much take whatever I send them, but they found this one too contentious. And
That's odd.
yeah, you saw it.
No, I say that's odd.
Well,
where did it appear finally?
It appeared in, let's see. I can't,
Okay.
it escapes me
After
momentarily.
you should send it to me.
I'll send it to you, but let me just tell you, it's just because in the U.S., the support among Jews for the Democrats is very high.
Yep.
It historically runs 75 to 80%. Now, you draw some relationships in your article, which I think are very much worth drawing, because I don't know, maybe this took the Jewish liberal community by surprise. But it's completely unsurprising if you understand the progressive ideological agenda that the Palestinians were cast as victims. And if people are going to play out a victim-victimizer narrative, which is a progressive narrative, the Jews are always going to be cast as victimizers because they are overrepresented in positions of authority and preeminence, radically so. And now my interpretation of that is that the competent rise to the top, and there's a variety of reasons for excessive Jewish competence, and it's marked, for example, in the fact that the Jews have produced an overwhelmingly disproportionate number, let's say, of Nobel laureates, right? And so it's a culture that places tremendous emphasis on intellectual ability, and there's more to it than that. But the alternative hypothesis is that it's a cabal, and it's a cabal that dominates, and it's a worldwide cabal. And if you buy the victim narrative, which is key to the progressive agenda, then the Jews are going to be at the top of the list.
The whole diversity, equity, and inclusion phenomenon, there's absolutely no room for the Jews there. It's impossible to
Well, if the rule is, if your ethnic group is overrepresented statistically, you're a oppressor, then that puts the Jews at the top of the oppressor hierarchy.
Which is absolutely insane. You know what Jewish people had to do? They had to fight for their survival. And if you understand history, you saw this in one of the most successful persecutions against any ethnic group of people in the history of our earth. I'm not comparing it to slavery and what happened during that time period. I'm not talking about other massacres and slaughters across the world, because today we have incredible amounts of despair and genocide in places like Sudan. But the fact that Jews, who are 3,000 plus years ancestral and indigenous to the land that I'm sitting on right now, have found a way to survive against all odds with their intellect, with their ability to be resilient, with their ability to not back down, with their ability to fight back, inevitably over time is going to cause a bulletproof resilience in a being to never let it happen again. And that means going for it all in life, going for it all in your social life, in your professional life, and passing that along to your family. Knowing that what you are passing down in Jewish tradition is not something that you voluntarily sign up for. It is a non-negotiable. As a Jew, it is a non-negotiable that people in the world are not going to like you. Why, mom? Why, dad? Because you're Jewish. This is what happened when you came out the womb. You are a Jew. The world sees you as a Jew. And many people in this world, historically, haven't been fans of you being a Jew. That has turned the Jewish people into an incredibly resilient group of people who have no choice, that if they do not deploy thick skin, an intellectual property that allows them to be able to be supreme in what they do so that they can survive. Because if they didn't have that ability, there wouldn't be any Jewish people in the world. We saw this after the Holocaust. We saw a group of people who had no choice to flee, to run, to leave it all behind. Everything that they have, everything. Survival of the fittest. And here we have today a group of people that continue to have children and continue to breed more, because we know that we have to have this trait about us. We are seeing the rise of it now in 2023, 2024, 2025, where more people now are vocal about the fact that they don't want Jews here anymore. So what do you expect us to do? Because we come in no harm's way. We're not here to fight. We're not here to have hate. We're here to survive. Yeah, there's going to have to be a fight if people aren't going to want us to survive. That is the truth. This is today's Hebrew word of the day. We have, this is an interesting one. So this is pronounced lechi, which means cheek. Now, if you say the word lechi mipo, which is the way that you would say to a female, get out of here, leave. And if you want to say it to a male, you'd say lech. But the way that you would know the difference is first the pronunciation is lechi, so is a cheek, and then lechi, so lechi and lechi. So in the first one, the enunciation is on the chet, and on the second one, the enunciation is on the lamed, and the lamed is the first letter there, lamed chet yud. And the way that you would know if it's lechi, to say to a girl to just go away, you would see a kaf, which looks like a letter C, a reverse letter C in Hebrew. Thank you so much. One more thing. If you believe in me and what I'm doing and you want to help this platform grow, your help is needed. You can support right now through PayPal or buy me a coffee. But the best way to support is to join my Patreon, The Inner Circle. You'll get incredible perks, bonus content, and you will help this channel stay alive. Oh, and you have to join our Discord. It is free with people from literally all over the world. And that's it. I appreciate every bit of support. Thank you for being on this journey with me.